Hello everyone and welcome to The No Show. I'll be your host Nathan Orenstein and today I'm going to be reviewing Backrooms. Backrooms is written by Soodik, directed by Kane, Parsons, and stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsve. Clark, the owner of a furniture store, discovers a sort of door to a hidden reality known as the Backrooms. When he goes missing, his therapist Mary finds the entrance to the Backrooms that he told her about and goes inside hoping to find him. Backrooms is based on Kane Parsons' web series of the same name. So the idea of the Backrooms is that they're basically this endless liminal space made up of poorly lit yellow offices. The rooms sort of resemble real rooms, but are often slightly off in one way or another. There are objects in some of these rooms, some of which are familiar to Ejiofor's Clark, and there seems to be people or entities in there as well. He can't see them, but he can hear them. And the way that they're entered is through a wall that Clark happened to find one day when he fell through it. I've personally never seen any of the Backrooms web series, so I don't really have any additional context to add outside of the film itself, but I don't really think you need any. What I can say is that this film, for better or worse, has given me a lot to think about and has left me with some pretty conflicting feelings. Let's start with the good. I think the idea of the Backrooms in general is a perfect backdrop for a psychological horror film. The movie also deals with some of the issues that Clark's been working through at therapy, and even some of the trauma from Mary's past, and some of these things actually manifest in the Backrooms themselves. I found it to be an effective combination, having the physical creepiness of the Backrooms layered with these personal issues that the characters are dealing with. I'll admit I was never really that on edge or uncomfortable, but I still found the whole thing to be pretty compelling as a psychological horror film. The production design of the Backrooms themselves is also extremely impressive. This endless space was actually physically created, and it achieves the goal of both feeling very familiar while incredibly eerie. The way the whole thing is shot too really emphasizes the disorienting nature of this space. And Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsve are both really strong here too. Ejiofor's Clark being the more erratic and emotional character, while Reinsve's Mary has to try to keep it together as his therapist. Unfortunately, the dialogue here is pretty weak in general, but they're both doing the best they can with what they have to work with. Ultimately, it's a strong foundation for a horror film, but it's what's built on top of that foundation that I do have some hangups with. The idea of the Backrooms isn't really one that necessarily comes with a lot of narrative implication, and I do think that issue presents itself here. The therapist and patient dynamic and the emotional issues behind the need for therapy are present and effective here, as I mentioned, but it's also not really so much a story as it is just a dynamic between two characters that also digs into their past a bit. There is a sci-fi angle here too, with the company researching the Backrooms, but this is hardly explored at all and frankly doesn't really add much to the movie. It sets itself up as if it'll be a big deal, but was a pretty disappointing narrative thread ultimately in my opinion. In fact, there's a lot here that feels either underdeveloped or unexplained, and I can't tell which parts were intentionally like that and which weren't. This is a movie that I've been thinking about a lot since I saw it, and one that I really do want to rewatch, but is that because I was so interested in what the film was saying, or is that because the movie didn't give me enough answers to feel satisfied and my brain is stuck trying to figure it out? And I don't really know the answer to that question. The Backrooms concept is one that feels like it's dependent on a creepy atmosphere and vibe more than anything else, and by attempting to put a full-length movie story on top of it, it almost feels like it doesn't fully know what to do with it. The concept alone is probably enough for a lot of people, but for me, I'm pretty conflicted about the film as a whole. Overall, Backrooms was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I think it's got a great premise and foundation, it just doesn't really nail that execution. I'm sure there's a much better story that could have been told within this universe, and I'm not saying that this one is bad, but it has left me feeling a bit unsatisfied. But who knows? This is a movie where I could totally see a rewatch changing my mind. As it stands today though, I'm going to be giving it a 6 out of 10. If you enjoyed the review, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you've seen Backrooms already, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I've been Nathan Orenstein with The No Show. Thanks for watching.